Frequency, the power of personal vibration. This is important, Penny, and it ties right into intuition, doesn't it?
Yes, totally. It's kind of like the next step beyond intuition. Of course, we've been talking about the world accelerating, and, every year I keep saying, gee, things are going faster and faster, and everything's, the body's vibrating faster, information's going faster, everything. And so I started to become very, very much aware of energy and wanted to start to look at, what is happening to us right now? What are we going through? Like you said in the break, we're living through this 3-year period here, at least 3 years, where radical change is happening. And I wanted to write about that.
What do you mean now by frequency, personal vibration?
Well, when you start seeing the world as made of energy, and that happens because we are getting faster. We're starting to identify ourselves as not so much as solid bodies separated by empty space, but as energy beings living in a field of energy, in a sea of energy, and waves moving through that sea of energy and through us, that we ourselves are vibrating and sending off waves and vibrations that communicate who we are to the world and to other people. So we're constantly receiving and giving different frequencies of energy in order to get things to happen and to communicate and to navigate in the world. So, your personal vibration is the energy that you give off at any given time, in any given moment. And that personal vibration can vibrate at a different frequency, either a high one or a low one, depending on what you identify with. So to me, the personal vibration is kind of, in any given moment, it's like a combination of how good your body's feeling that day. Maybe you're sick, and it would be a low-frequency physical vibration. And then, or maybe you're depressed and your emotions are kind of flat. That would be a low-frequency emotional vibration. Or maybe you're stuck in some sort of repeating mental pattern or something. Or maybe it's just the opposite. You're just feeling great, and you're creative and innovative and energetic. So you would be low or high frequency then, depending on the sort of combination of body, mind, and emotion and spirit that day.
Would frequency be the same as karma, or is that different?
No, I think karma is something quite different. I think karma has to do with some place within yourself that you don't quite understand the universal laws and principles, and you've made some sort of partial understanding and gotten stuck. And therefore, the soul really wants to create experiences where you can understand something fully. So it's not punishment or anything like that. It's more about really learning to experience the universal principles fully.
Now, is it the same as resonance?
Resonance would be basically, if you and I were close to the same frequency, we would have a resonance with each other. In other words, your frequency would communicate with mine, and it would go into the same level, like a tuning fork.
Is that like law of attraction?
Sort of. We can get into that in a minute. We can kind of segue into that. But what I want you to understand and the people to understand first is that personal vibration, first of all, it's a combination of those body, emotion, mind, and spirit at any given moment. But because we look to the outside world constantly for approval, or, you can let somebody else who's in a bad mood can make you feel in a bad mood. In other words, you would then resonate to a lower frequency by frequency matching someone who's a victim, let's say, and they could put you in a bad mood. So your personal vibration would go down. Or you get around somebody who's really positive and your personal vibration might go up.
What if you're sick?
If you're sick, you would probably go down, unless you were being very, very calm and peaceful. And I had a friend who was recovering from cancer, and she said she was laying in her bed one day, and she realized her body was vibrating in this bliss state, that she was just in bliss, and she loved herself, and she said, gee, how could I ever get sick if I knew that I could feel this way? How could cancer even possibly exist in my body, if I knew that I could feel this kind of frequency? So, but what happens to us is that because we're looking a lot into the outside world, we get buffeted around a lot, and our frequency goes up and down and up and down and up and down, and we feel out of control, especially these days. But we have also, I call it in the book, your home frequency.
Now, what's that?
When you focus inside yourself, and this relates now into the sort of the intuitive state, when you go in and get quiet and go into your truest self, and you feel how you love to feel, how you've always been, like how you were when you were a baby and you were just joyful and happy, that there is a state, and you could call it your preferred state if you want, but there's a way of being where the soul is able to flow through unimpeded. And it often is very bright and joyful and interested and compassionate and enthusiastic and those sorts of things. And sometimes it's just very calm and peaceful and appreciative. But when you go into the home frequency, those kinds of thoughts and emotions start coming through you. And they start resonating out through you, through your body, and through the field around you. And that patterns then your life. And once you sort of permanently identify yourself with your home frequency rather than with all the other crazy people out there in the world, you stabilize. And once you can stabilize your body energy and your sort of personal identity, that way and put it out around you, in the field around you, your life will start improving.
Can this be measured scientifically, your frequency?
Well, I think that maybe the closest we can get is maybe the brain waves, where, alpha, theta, and delta. And as you get out to the slower, longer brain waves like theta and delta, you're actually getting into higher frequencies of consciousness.
Now, are higher frequencies better than lower frequencies? Let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
If someone is extremely positive, what should their frequency be like?
It should be fluid. I think when you're in a high frequency, you're sort of in the flow. You're not stopping the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And fear stops the flow. Doubt stops the flow. Too much mental fixation will stop the flow. Those kinds of things where you have biases, that will stop it. And when you stop a natural flow of energy, the frequency drops. So let's say ordinary life, doing your job, might be a lower frequency than meditating, say, but it's not a blocked one. You see, it's a particular kind of focus.
What happens to your frequency if your boss calls you in and gives you a raise, for example?
Yeah.
Does it go through the roof?
Yeah, sure.
So attitude or emotion can affect your frequency?
Absolutely. That's right. And that can go up and down, and that personal vibration, like I said, it fluctuates constantly in response to things in the world, and that's natural. Just like you said earlier, we expand and contract.
Too bad we couldn't get a little personal frequency meter. Walk up to people, turn it on, and it would have labels on it. So if the frequency had a certain level, you'd say, good
Ding.
person or energetic, or date this person or not, or something like that.
I think we have that built in to us anyway. It's called our body.
Well, if we know how to read it.
Yeah. Well, when you pay attention, see, this is part of intuition again, is learning to read the signals you're getting from your body. Because really, we know an awful lot about what's going on with other people, with situations that are offered to us. How many times does somebody tell you about a potential situation and your mind will automatically project it down a timeline, and you'll see, oh, this is going to be a problem down here, and I can see that this person might not do this, and this might get jammed up over here. And, within seconds, you've already kind of sussed it out. We all do that.
Tell me a little bit more about the premises of the book.
All right. Well, so the idea is that the acceleration that we're experiencing of the world going faster is really part of an overall fundamental and kind of rapid evolutionary change that we're experiencing. It's, some people call it transformation. But I think if we even look back in history just a little bit, you can see that not long ago we were in the industrial age, where things were really sort of slow. It were mechanistic, everything was about the physical world, and it was very body-oriented. That accelerated and then got toward computers, which got very, very fast machines, which then shifted us into the information age, where things went faster and faster and faster and shifted into the mind or the mental realm and got faster and faster. And then we got the internet, and now we're at this point where we can barely process the amount of information and ideas we have with a linear kind of mind, with logic. We can't do it. So I think we're poised right now on the brink of another shift into what I call the intuition age, where time is speeding up. Literally.
Too fast.
Everything.
Way too.
Yes.
I mean, I can't believe it. We're into December 4th now. This being Friday in most time zones, soon to be on the West Coast. It's going way too fast. Way too fast.
Yes. And it's like you think something and then you almost get instantaneous repercussions. That time lag between, sometimes when you're driving, I've noticed this, and I get mad at somebody who pulled out in front of me.
Oh, you're a road rager, are you?
And then the next minute I pull out in front of somebody else.
You do the same thing, right?
What goes around comes around within minutes these days.
Have you also noticed that when you're in heavy traffic, someone needs to pull over into your lane? You know that he desperately needs to get in that lane. Maybe you're in the right-hand lane, he's on the left, and he needs to get off on an exit on the right. You let him in. Have you noticed that most of those people you let in then let someone else in?
Yes. Yes.
It's an interesting situation.
Exactly right. That's the positive spin on it all. But we're shifting to this point now, and I think that what's happening with time speeding up is really that we're coming into an awareness of an eternal present moment. I think in not too long a time, we're not going to really have an awareness of future and past. Future and past are going to be integrated into the present moment. Everything will be now. And the future will be something like a higher level, a higher frequency of the present moment, a potential of the present moment.
In your opinion, Penny, what successful people, go all the way back down to Jesus, what successful people understood intuition, understood frequency?
Well, certainly, Buddha and the religious leaders and all that. But I think that anyone who is good at materializing their visions or dreams is very good at it. That's part of manifesting or materializing or creating.
They may not know about the science behind or the metaphysics behind
Right.
frequency. All they know is they're doing something and it's working.
That's right.
I would think, your book Frequency is going to help people, but I would bet that if you polled 100 people, more would know about intuition than a question about frequency, wouldn't you?
I think they don't quite understand what frequency is yet, but they know what energy is.
Right.
And I hear it all the time. Oh, he's got good energy, or that's got bad energy. And we're just starting to perceive energy all the time, and we're perceiving vibration.